I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and the Dakota peoples, in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drink water comes from Shoal Lake First Nations in Treaty 3 territory. I'll introduce the panel members. The secretary and the board and the assessor. I'm Marcel Larondo. I'll be chairing. Robert Hutchinson is a panel member zooming in, and Diane Knight is zooming in, and Jeremy Poole is our assessor, and Stephen Lund is our hearing secretary. We'll be hearing applications for revision of assessment role in accordance with the Municipal Act. The matters requested have been described in each application. We will limit the discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and when speaking to the matter must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessment of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing, issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decision with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to an application of exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with your board order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today, and the session will close after the applications have been heard. And the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We'll be hearing items 1 through 9 in our docket today. Mr. Lund, please affirm the assessor and the applicant's testimony.
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Jeremy Ryan Pohl.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And Mr. Applicant, please stand and please state your full name.
Les Sitkowski.
You affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Mr. Poole, we'll start with item 1, 550 Pembina Highway, and it's all quantum.
Yep. If permission with the chair, we have an educated panel today. I know this, but can I go over the argument today, or the first appeal that will be used throughout the hearing for the assessor side? It won't change. I'll go over it quickly, but in a bit more detail than I will on the other ones. Just carry the argument forward.
We have a different appellant on the other one. Is that going to be okay? Okay.
It's fine with me. It's fine with this one.
I can't ask him because he's not sitting there. But we'll do that when he gets there. But go ahead.
Sure. Well, I'll continue on. Okay. File number 2256A. 1209780420. It's 550 Pembina. The 2023 assessed value is $2,972,000. The original building was built in 1981. There was an addition put on, I guess the showroom area up front in 2003. We have an effective age of 2000. The leasable area is 11,406 square feet. If we look at page 7, shows the property. As you can see, it's highlighted in red on the one, and then I guess orange on the other one, but it's the one highlighted in red. It borders Dudley, Lorette, Pembina, and Daly towards the rear. It was a former Jerry Gordon's Mazda. They moved and went to Waverly West, and this is what's in place today. So it is a used car dealership. And collision center, as you see, there's Don DeVito at the back, collision center, and you drive. So under the umbrella of we drive autos, so used car dealership. If you go to my page 3, we have 11,000. This is the summary of the workup. This is 11,406 square feet for $17.12 a square foot, which gives us $195,271 for gross potential gross income. Our same standard parameters will apply today for all properties at 2% for vacancy, non-recoverable expenses at 3%, and a $6 shortfall, which gives us a net operating income of $184,256, and capped at 6.2% gives us our $2,972,000 rounded. So that's the valuation end of it. So we'll look at the argument on it. So there is no car dealerships that actually rent within the city. They're all owner occupied. So what we look for is in the marketplace a similar comparable, similar type of property to the subject property, and take that information, rental income information, transpose it onto the subject property. So essentially, what we've been doing for a number of cycles now is looking towards retail big box store type rents. That's what we've shown here on page 9. We have 531,000 square feet of inventory, 28 comparables, and they hover around an average of $18.83, weighted average of $18.01, and a median of $18.23 or 27 cents. So these are a good synopsis of different retail locations, more developed locations throughout the city, and there's a reason for that. I'll get to that in a moment. These are the comps that we'll be using. So it's well within the range of the subject property. And I'll briefly go through the information that we're sent today, because we've all heard this before, but I'll touch base on it. So on page 10 are some sales that occurred within the marketplace. There's 6 sales. They're a bit dated. There are some recent ones towards the reference date, but I haven't been able to verify all the arm's length and everything that I would need to do. So we're leaving it at this. There is a big municipal board test case that will govern. There will be 3 actually, if there's 3 needed. But the first one scheduled was for March, but it's been delayed to the fall of next year. So some of this is the due diligence that we'll be working towards. So this is just a rudimentary sales of 6 that have occurred. So you can go through that if you like. They're all been confirmed on that to be building only, land only, no business component, and no on-site or goodwill or anything like that. So if we go down to page starting on 19, we have 2 actual leases of car dealerships are for sale and listings for car dealerships to be leased. This is for the old Hyundai Focus. They moved to La Jamodier, but this is their old building here that's up for sale or to be leased out. And you can see on page 21, it is for a 17,437 square foot building size, and it's being leased out at $16.50 net. You look down, it's a bit older of a property at starting on page 23. This is a little further down Regent. The showroom up front is newer, but towards the back it's older, the dealership, and they are leasing out at approximately $16 triple net as well. So it's kind of a range for the Regent strip of a bit newer and a bit older. You're hovering around 1650. And of course, if you're to buy the buildings outright, there's the listing prices as well. Again, those are listing prices, advertisements, but not actual market transactions. So, but it does give you a good feel of what it is, what the market is. So page 27 starts the last board order. This is the last hearing that was actually heard for car dealerships. It's unit 90, 39, 65 Portage. We are all well aware of it. It's here just as reference. This is simply because it's the last one. It's nearly 20 years old and there has been none since. So this is the last guidance we have. As part of my due diligence for the municipal board test case that I've spoken to, I've looked back and became aware of other orders. Obviously, I did some due diligence and started searching through the municipal board files to see what their guidance is and what has been done before. Because pretty much the Unit 90 appeal was the only one we really had to go from. that any agent or assessor seem to be aware of, just in the recent years kind of thing. So starting on page 36 is an order for A02223. It included a number of files is there's a number of properties associated with it. But essentially what it gets to is methodology. When you look down on page 42, highlighted for your convenience, the assessor chooses to use discount stores and supermarkets, national chains as such, as it was more similar as a supermarket or national chain to the to the car dealerships than small proprietor realty or retail realty. So when we go through this, we go to page 46, highlighted in red. One of the things I wanted to satisfy myself that the direct comparison approach, the cost approach, and the income approach, what should be fulsomely explored at a board revision level and also at the municipal board. For this particular board, at this point in time, I feel that an income approach is the appropriate one to be using. It's been highlighted prior. The board is satisfied that income approach is appropriate for car dealerships, mainly because if you don't have an income to source from, meaning a populace that rents for car dealerships, how can you do the income approach? Kind of nullifies it right there. And then as far as cost approach, I'm not satisfied that it doesn't quite meet that test to be a special utility property, say the way a gas station would be, because there is a secondary market here. You can sell these and then you can buy them and use them as a used car dealership. So there is some commonality between when a franchise no longer meets the requirements in a certain location, they move off, they build new, they build bigger kind of thing. And that's been what we've been seeing in the marketplace. But sometimes they keep their old site to sell the cars that they can't sell on site. You know, your less than certified cars, but used cars still need to be sold, or they still sell the site outright, and a used car dealership moves in. So there is a market there, and then from that, obviously the approach is still valid. And if you look at the second box highlighted in red, excuse me, is what do you pool? Where do you go to the marketplace? What type of properties do you use? And it highlights the board is satisfied that the board is satisfied that subject is similar, although not identical, to large national and international retail properties located in, near, or in regional shopping facilities. Therefore, the board will order it. They get into the merits of the order that they had at the time. So basically what they're saying is larger properties, retail orientated, big box stores, supermarkets, that kind of thing, similar enough that that's what they adopted to use the approach. And coincidentally, that's what we've been using for a number of years now. It's meeting in the minds 20-something years ago that already decided that. And it's nice to see that they kind of were in the same vein of the lines that I was thinking when we started defending these. So that's where the pool of information, and you can read through the orders if you want. That's where the pool of information that we're going to be taking from. The comp sheet that's awarded is such at the top of the study. And then on page 55, I guess it's just the income expense questionnaire reported to the property, reported to the assessment department. It indicates that it is a net rent, and it also indicates that it's not owner occupied. I'm not too sure about that. That's more questions that I have the agent once we get into that. So if we go back up, again, if you just review quickly the comp sheet, we have 20 comparables. You can see they have around $18, 18.5 or so. And we see that there's 2 listings for car dealerships on Regent that are 16 and 1650 for one being slightly older and one being a bit newer, but still on a little bit of the smaller side. But in comparison to what we'll see today at the subject property, well within range. So when we see rent that's at $70.12, I think it's pretty reasonable. It's right at market. And I think the assessment should be confirmed at 2,972,000 without a more questions. So I'm getting feedback. Are you guys hearing that?
It's the other room.
It's pretty loud on my end.
Yeah, it's loud here too. That's just what we get from that room.
Okay, we'll just roll through it. I just making sure.
Yeah. You're done?
Yep.
Les, you have some questions?
Just have one or two minor questions. Your workup is model driven, is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And on page 9, where you show your comparables, none of them are car dealers. I just wanted to confirm that these are
There are no dealership rents. They're all retail rents.
all retail. Okay. So, for example, there's we're talking about brick or thrift stores or in fact 1000 St. James. That's a church, I believe, right?
No, 1000 St. James is Ashley Furniture.
Oh, is that Ashley? Oh, that's currently Ashley. Okay, so there are retail stores and some of them are strip malls. Okay.
They're all big box stores, like the two on Pembina, 2195 Pembina, which is Unit 2. That's Salvation Army. That's at $18. And then when you look at the one that is on 2195 Pembina, which is not obviously Unit 2, that one is Part Source at $23.44. So.
All right, thank you. Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Robert, any questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just quickly, Mr. Poole, is there a pending municipal board on this property?
I'm not sure. Let me check. There's a lot of them. There most likely are.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that question. Can you repeat that, please?
I asked whether there was a pending municipal board on the subject property.
Thank you.
There's a 2018. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And just to follow up on your comment about pending a major pending municipal board, it sounds like are you saying that you're awaiting these to appear before the municipal board to establish a more recent decision on how to the methodology to assess these properties?
Well, just to be clear, the last one is Unit 90, which is what we showed, but that's going back it's almost 2 decades. We're going to take a fresh look at it. There's well over 200 appeals in abeyance, and plus whatever will be from the cycle. So we're going to be pushing 280, 300 appeals by this rolls around to the test case. Time the test case gets heard and solidifies our approach and how we should be doing it. And from that point on, we will then take that information and then go into case management. There may be 2 other test cases as well, but there may not be a need for it if the first test case gets enough information rationale from. So
now, my only question is, when you mean test case, is it before the courts or is it through the municipal board?
The municipal board.
Okay, thank you.
There'll be one for condominium dealerships, which I think we can get all the information we need. Then there'll be one for standalone outside of condominium. And then there'll be one for that's more industrial peripheral type feel to a property. So realistically, you probably do it for one.
Yeah.
And
thank you, Mr. Poole. That's all my questions, Mr. Chair.
Diane?
My question's been answered. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Poole, I noticed on your page 18, there's a letter that you didn't refer to.
Yes. Oh, sorry. I kind of skipped over just because I thought everyone's been aware, but I can get to this as well. This is for 1468 Regent as well. There's a sister letter for the other one that Patterson bought. They were the franchise in place for this property. They had a agreement to purchase in place with an elevated rent above market, as indicated. I investigated this with Patterson Group. They talked to their from their automotive section, they talked to the real estate back. It's a big company, obviously. But they indicated they had an option to purchase at the end of the first term and at the end of the second term. They chose to purchase at the end of the first term and move into this ownership of this property. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. They couldn't have bought the franchise because they were already the franchise. So they bought an older dealership. Subsequently, years later, the decision was made to tear it down and put new, which is what you see throughout the marketplace. Bigger is better. You see that all over the place. Additions being put on, redevelopment of sites. This was one that happened. I don't believe that affected the sale price because this was so far in the future that I don't think they purchased it. But it was just a matter of business was good on site, and that's what they chose to do with the site. So.
And now we're going to go to your page 10.
Yep.
Yours and my favorite property, 2537 Pembina Highway. Did you get the same letter from them on that one?
Yes, I do have that, but I did not put it into the study. I guess I could have put it in.
Would it have not taken it out of your sales contact if you'd have produced that letter? Because there was a reason they bought it, and it wasn't for a dealership. They bought it to put up an apartment block.
No, they bought it in place, but then the site became available in Waverly, and they moved to for the Waverly. It was torn down. It was redeveloped into, or going to be redeveloped into, a multifamily. Probably up by now. I haven't checked, but they did purchase it at the point in time for the actual deal. Until I hear differently, I mean, I can put that letter in, or I can provide it to the board if you like. The agents say one thing, I get straight from the source who was a different thing. It wasn't bought for multiple hours.
Okay, I'll leave it at that. By the way, it is under construction right now for your information. No, that's it for my questions at this time. Les, if you can put your presentation forward, please.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Chairperson. So my argument is very simple. I just want to make a comment first about the fact that there have been several or many auto dealerships in front of this board, in front of the Board of Revision this year around, and the argument that was made was based on the workup that I'm showing you on page 3 of my presentation, and the argument made by parties that came in front of this board indicated that the actual rent should be $13 per square foot. Expense allowance should be total 7%, and with the cap rate of 7.25%. And I've attached several board orders to my presentation that confirm the parameters that I use on the workup on page 3. And in any event, if you take a look at some of these board orders, there are many more than just these 3 that I presented in my brief. The board had decided to use a cap rate of 7.25 and the NOI presented by the appellants, and so I'm asking for the board to lower the value to $1,788,000 based on the decisions that have been made by the Board of Revision to date for this time around. Thank you so much.
Jeremy, do you have any questions?
Just confirming that you don't have any market evidence within.
I don't have any other evidence than what I presented.
And you're using comparisons of assessments to determine what's.
Well, I'm just what I'm using is what this board has decided for auto dealers that have been in appeal for this time around.
Okay.
Les, you got to understand that you've given us board orders, but we weren't there to hear the information that.
No, I understand that, Mr. Chairperson.
So, I mean, we can't take them as evidence that way. you there?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Can you repeat that, please?
We can't really take them as evidence this way because we
Oh.
don't know what the reasons they had for making those decisions.
Well, no, I understand that. But I actually was involved in several of these, in these car dealerships. These were presented by Fairtax Realty. And, based on my workup, that I show on page 3, that is the actual workup that was presented by Fairtax Realty.
Okay, any questions, Robert?
No questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Diane, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Anything in summation, Les?
No, thank you.
Jeremy, anything in summation?
No.
Okay, thank you. That will conclude this matter and we'll move on to our next one. And that will be number 2, 485 Sterling Lion Parkway. Let me know when. Is everybody ready?
I'll need like 3 minutes. I apologize.
Okay.
Is it best to take a quick 2-minute recess, Mr. Chair?
Sure, let's take a fast 2-minute recess. Call the meeting back to order. Mr. Poole, if you'll start on 485 Sterling Lion, please.
File number is 223221. Roll number is 10006776035. Civic address is 485 Sterling Line Parkway. The 2023 assessment is for $20,626,000. The actual year built is fairly new at 2018. It was a new dealership. The size of it is quite large at 75,112 square feet. We see highlighted in yellow is a 2018 sale for $27,130,000. I will go through the sale first, and then I'll touch base on the actual income, what we have on the property. So if you turn to page 7, this is a subject. This is a photo of the subject property. It's on Sterling Line Park, neighboring obviously Bishop Brandon there. So this is a high-end dealership. It's Audi, and if you look, what you see throughout the marketplace leading up to this, you see Audi, Porsche, Mercedes-Benz. You go down, Land Rover. There are 5 new dealerships or so that are in this strip. They're in this strip for a reason. It's the demographic of what's in the area. If you're selling a higher end car, this is where you want to be, and the marketplace is showing that. But again, when we go through this, we don't actually have any marketplace evidence for car dealerships. All we have is for retail. So that's still the same retail information that we're going to be pulling is from larger scale retail, more developed retail. So, but we'll go through the subject property just to get a better reference of it. So as you scroll through here, page 11, you see, or I should say, starting on page 9 and 10 gives you your site layout from all sides. It's got very good visibility in Bishop Brandon and Sterling Parkway. Just to the next side of this is the Porsche dealership. But as you can see here, as you go through the actual building, it is a very nice dealership. It is a high-end dealership, exactly what you would expect. If you look at page 13, where it has kind of like the roadway up above that is mezzanine space. There's like a bit of a walkway where you can see through. And then as you go through this, just scroll through it. I'll just kind of, you can see the pictures are speak for what is actually there. It's a high-end dealership, well finished, exactly what you would expect. Starting on page 22 is more of the service end. where you see the garage end, and it's quite large, as you would expect, as this property is it's quite big. So when we look here, starting on page 26 is the INE. They do not check off owner occupied, they check net rent. They also have 31,360 square feet for leasable area. I'm a little unsure why it's that, because that's not what we have. I should say, let me just double check that. No, yeah, 75,000. So then you look at the next page, which is on page 27. Again, highlighted in yellow, they give an opportunity to report if they're owner occupied. They do not. They check net rent. They indicate the tenant is Auto Canada Holdings Inc. And they and they indicate the leasable area 31,360 square feet. So there's a discrepancy from what were actual on plans and what was reviewed for what they're reporting. So the COVID report or questionnaire is on the next page at page 28. They indicate a minor impact. And that's on page 29 as well. So then I go through my due diligence of the sale, which starts on page 30. We see it's registered, the status title to the property to Cars Canada ACQ3 GPSPE. Obviously, this is a sell side company, a stateside company. And as we go through here, we just scroll down to page 8. They indicate it's a mortgage for 250 million. Now, obviously, this is more than just what's on this title. That is a corporation, obviously, and it's this property is inclusive of that. If you go down further to page 39, which is point number 9, originated instruments. This is for the actual land, transfer of land for this this property, and they do indicate who it was sold by and who it was purchased to or purchased by, and it is 27,130,000. I'll make it really clear here that consideration that they show here on status of titles is always the fair market value when you actually go through the land transfer documents, and I'll go through that next. I can usually get the sales question or status of title for a board revision level hearing, but it's more difficult to get a transfer of land document in time for these, because by the time I get signed to me and I get to it, hearings usually pass. So this case here, I was able to get it. So we'll go through this on page 40. Freehold, you see that they check fair market. You see the transfer. You see on page 8, they declare that the land is for 27 million. Fair market value is for 27,130,000. What indicates is that they cannot, it's just for the land. They're paying taxes on the land. Doesn't include any business, doesn't include any goodwill, anything that's on the site. That's not inclusive of the land transfer document. So when we go through this, furthermore, indicates who acquired the property, and then obviously indicates that it is the officer of WNA Properties who sold it. And then you see that it was certified on point 20, which is on 46, by the lawyer who is representing the solicitor who's representing them. So this has all been verified. So when I look at the actual sale, we have a sale for 27,130,000 for land and building owned, right at the reference or approaching the reference date 2018. So December of 2018. So when we take that into consideration, we'll go through the actual market valuation of the property from our perspective. That starts on page 3. We have again we have $20.72 for 43,229 square feet at $20.72, which is 800, which the PGI is 895,705. The basement area, which this building here, there's an actual basement area you can go into. There's detailing areas, all of it. So there is a basement area of around 31,883 square feet, and we put that at a lower rate because it's below grade at $16.10. So the total PGI is $1,409,021. Again, our standard parameters apply to that at 2% vacancy. Expenses at non-recoverable at 3% and shortfall at 6% gives us a net operating income of $1,330,403. And we cap that at 6.45%, which gives us the $20,626,000 rounded. So based on our market for retail transposed onto the subject property, we have a $20,626,000. We see the sale of the subject property is $27,130,000. Now, obviously, that takes into account it being an actual dealership. I feel that at $20,626,000, that's a pretty reasonable amount that we've assessed it for. So, with that, I'm open to questions.
Marcello, questions?
Sure. Mr. Cole, in your investigation of the sale, did you at any point contact the vendor or purchaser?
I just use the documents that you see in the brief. As you can see, when we go through it, it's sworn off by a solicitor and it's sworn off by a, get it right here, just bear with me, by the chief financial officer of WNA Properties. So we do have verification on both ends. So.
Okay, so then your answer is no, you did not contact them.
I didn't need to as we went through property registry and land transfer documents. Okay. I don't believe any of this is an error. You wouldn't have a sale of this kind with legal representative and a chief financial officer making a mistake on these documents.
And is that typically how you verify the validity of a sale?
We do use sale questionnaires. If need be, I can contact a person, but usually the problem with that is by the time you make it to an appeal later on, that person may no longer be employed or with that company anymore. We rely more on the sales questionnaires and obviously the documents that I provided here today, because they're actually in fact. So if I need to contact someone, I will, but in this case here, there was no need for it.
So as part of that sales questionnaire, you ask, and please note that you said that you had not sent out that questionnaire yet. And can you confirm that these questions are asked whether the income in place or the lease in place is representative of the sale value, or whether there's an actual lease in place?
Well, there'll be questions on the sales questionnaire, but yeah, there'll be, I mean, I'm not going to read them all out now, but generally it'll be, did you buy it, intend to purchase it or to occupy it? Was there bought it for an existing lease? There'll be a number of questions on a sales questionnaire, including, is there any business associated with it? When I'm going to the actual fair market value, what they declare what the land's worth, that's an explanation right there.
Well, is that typically how you look at the validity of a sale?
That's part of what I do for my due diligence, as far as what the assessment department sends out for their sales questionnaire. That's another aspect to it. But when I'm looking at an actual land transfer document, that's what you pay your tax on. They're not going to be declaring business components in that, because why would they pay tax on top of it and have a sales off that?
And have you confirmed whether there's an appraisal on the property?
No, I did not.
Okay. So then, in essence, you haven't really verified this sale other than pulling the transfer of land and the title itself, correct? Those are the instruments that you looked at.
Those are important documents that should be questioned. That is verifying the sale. Whether we do an added step by sending out a sales questionnaire to further ask other questions, that's part of it too. We could be doing it for this particular appeal. When you look at the fair market value and the status of title, what's been declared, and it's been confirmed by the chief financial officer and legal solicitor, it's been verified.
So, Mr. Pohl, are you saying that in essence, all we have to look at is the transfer of land and the title, and there's nothing else for us to do?
No, what I'm saying is for this particular hearing, that's enough for this particular hearing. We see that we put a market value of around 20 million on the property, and there's a sale approaching the reference date of 27 million approximately. And when we do our analysis, we feel that is our market value based on the market that we transferred onto it. When we look at the actual sale of the subject property, we see that as a car dealership, obviously they're not putting the same market rents that we're putting on from big box stores. They're actually looking at it as a car dealership. They declared it 27,130,000. So I'm trusting that.
And once again, just for the board's, the panel's sake, there is typically a sales questionnaire that goes out that is typically returned. That has not gone out, that has not been returned. So it has in fact not been done, correct?
I don't have it in my brief. I didn't find it in our documents. It may or may not have been sent out. I'm not sure on that point. I go the extra step to actually go to see what the actual sale was, the parties involved, was it legal representation, obviously chief financial officer, declared at fair market value, and that's the purposes for collecting taxes on the transfer of land. There is no business component in that. These property owners are savvy enough to have an assessment for their property tax because they don't want to pay any more than they feel they should. They're not going to be declaring any business value when it specifically states fair market value. So,
thank you, Mr. Cole. On your page 3, these numbers are all market driven and effectively estimated by the model, not by you.
yes, they're all market. They're all model.
Okay, so that goes for all the parameters.
Correct. I didn't change anything.
Okay. Okay. Now, on your list of comparables, I believe you have them at page 48. You know what? I'll go back to those. Let's go into your presentation here. You have several comps here. I believe we've gone over some of these already.
Which page are you looking at? Sorry.
Sorry, I'm looking at page 49.
49.
Okay. You would agree that a lot of these comparable sales actually occurred long before the reference date of April 1, 2021?
Yes, I already spoke to that point. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So what I'd like you to turn to is again on page 57, and I believe we went over this the last time. And this involves 1486 Regent Avenue West, correct?
Right.
And you will confirm that there was an appraisal done, correct?
As indicated, yes.
And it was done in 2010, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in terms of your remaining information on page 58 and onward, this is simply just advertisements, correct?
Yep, no different than what would be in the Johnson report. This would be listed as such as well. They're listing for sale and they're listing for lease. And just to be clear, the one at 1066 Narren did have a lease in it, but that was the province. And that was for a COVID site. I put no weight on it. It was an emergency place. It was emergency purposes lease, short term, and it was a non-retail investment lease. It was just a short term.
Okay, Mr. Cole, I thank you for that. I'll move next to the, I guess, the decisions of the municipal board that you've included in here. Now, you'll confirm, and I believe you just confirmed it in the last hearing, that the most recent case, I believe, happened in 2003.
Yes.
Okay. And right. And you also mentioned that there is a test case at the board, correct?
One of 3, with the first one being this particular sublet property for a condominium. Okay. And we're hoping to answer all the questions related to it. And if not, then there'll be a standalone, and then furthermore, there'll be a periphery or an industrial flavor type.
Right. Right. So just to again confirm this, you are confirming that there are 3 test cases. One involves a condominium style auto mall. The other one involves a standalone car dealership, and the third one involves, I guess, what you would, describe as a dealership more in the industrial areas on the periphery. I think you stated that as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, on page 81, you've also included a, mind you, this is from quite a long time ago. But you've also highlighted it, and it says it was his view that this auto mall was more similar to a supermarket or national chain restaurant than to miscellaneous retail. Now, can you describe why you highlighted that?
Well, if you read, hold on a second. If you read, it should be a little bit further. If you read the whole, where the board accepts the argument that the auto malls and the agglomeration of auto mall dealerships located in different sectors of the city, so the whole city, result in an auto mall having characters similar to national retail with national rather than local tenants. So there's the key point right there. Not small proprietor rents, it's national or international retail. And then it goes on to say the board is satisfied that the subject property is similar, although not identical, to large national and international retail properties located in near regional shopping facilities. So basically what it's saying is, don't go to small mom and pop retail and use rents there. Go to bigger box stores or international and use those rents that are located in more, obviously, all things going along with your income and expense analysis of the property. So when we're looking at that, not looking at bigger Walmarts, we're not looking at, that 100,000 square foot range. We're looking at a similar size to these properties, and then doing your analysis on that. So that's a bit of a different. So we're looking at you're looking at. I mean, I can go through the comp tenants if you like, but generally it's just your bigger box stores that range between 10,000, say 50,000. In this case here, we have the subject property. The last number of years, it's bigger is better, and you see that where car dealerships are being built as such. So our range as far as comparables is going to have to start more mimicking that as well. So the concept.
Okay, am I reading this wrong? Because on page 81, this says that the assessor used a vacancy of 2%, and it goes on. He noted that a 6% vacancy was applied to the retail properties such as miscellaneous retail, convenience stores, restaurants, neighborhood shopping centers. But a 2% vacancy was applied to properties that had little or no reported vacancies, such as chain restaurants, discount stores, and supermarkets. He argued that there were vacancies at auto dealerships, and when a dealership closed, another dealership. It was his view that this auto mall was more similar to a supermarket or a national chain restaurant than to a miscellaneous retail store.
Yep, that's pretty much what we're saying. But what I want to make sure is when we go through the number of orders that, and I've showed you number of orders here. When you do, and we're at the municipal board, I'm looking for the entire retail aspect, all vacancy, similar to what you see the OFB study and the OFA study. We'll be doing the same format. It'll be what the vacancy is associated with the incomes for those particular comps for that particular marketplace. So these are all orders. I'm looking at it in a fresh look for the test case purposes. Obviously, this isn't the test case here today, and the due diligence that I'll need to bring forth on that. I mean, it's going to be a 4 or 5 day range or something. So, from what I'm trying to glean from this order is obviously other minds have put their thoughts into this at the municipal board level, and they're showing you what market they want and chose and selected for the most similar to car dealerships. This problem isn't new or, I believe if you go through a number of these orders, they indicate that there was some older rents that did lease, and when you actually go through everything as best you can, it always turns out they're owner occupied. There really never was one back then. So, I mean, as you go through the years of orders, it became quite clear that they were always owner occupied. This is the particular question I had is, do you apply the income approach? If so, where are you pulling that information from? And they've already provided us with direct guidance that it's exactly highlighted. It's national, international, retail,
Right.
more than a couple of locations. So
So you've got $75,000, 75,000 square feet of leasable area, correct?
yeah.
And I believe the largest lease here that you have is 47,000 square feet.
Yes, and just pointing out, above grade, it's about 43,229 square feet. This particular location has an underground, you literally can drive underneath it, and it has another bay where you can call it detailing, you can call it car wash, you can call it servicing, whatever you want to call it. It is another large segment of the building. So
That they use for car washing and detailing?
from my understanding, I haven't been in the property, but it's, how do you phrase it the right way? To have a structural floor put in, and essentially that's what this is, for a car dealership, it's a high-end build. You don't have that. Usually you would just build your site a little bit more. In this case here, they went underneath, they put a structural floor in, and then they put a large space.
We're not arguing the cost approach here, are you, Mr. Cole? We're not arguing the cost approach, right? Okay.
No. I'm just
confirm, none of these leases are as large.
We're just pointing out the subject property has a large service bay underneath it, pretty much under its entirety, which is pretty atypical for the market.
Okay. And is there typically rented space in below grade in these areas?
I just said, I don't believe there is another one in the city, unless there's a new one I'm missing that actually has a large service bay underneath it. It's quite a quality build.
Okay, Mr. Cole, again, none of these leases are as large as the subject, correct?
No, like I explained already.
Okay. Thank you. Those are my questions.
Robert, do you have any questions?
Yes, quickly. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Pohl, can you confirm your blended rate on 75,112 square feet is 1876?
I believe so, yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That is my only question. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Diane, any questions?
Yeah, I do. On the I&E, it's showing 31, I can't find it right off the hop what page number it is, but it was 31,000 and something square feet as a leasable area, and you're showing on your report the basement as a little bit different. So do you think those two are one and the same?
I can't comment on how they filled it out. All I can go by is what we put it in on is based on the actual construction blueprints and the documentation that was submitted to PPP. So I'm pretty sure we got our numbers right, and they left some area off on their
okay. All right, thank you.
You've answered the questions I had. Marcelo, on with your presentation.
Okay. This is 485 Sterling Line Parkway, and again, this is an Audi dealership. If you look at page 6 and page 7, you can see the overhead views of these properties, or this property. On page 8 as well. So on page 9, we have the main floor space being 43,229 with a 31,883 square foot basement showroom. The land to building ratio is 3.12 to 1, which is small for an auto dealership. Access to the subject property is off of Sterling Line with no access off of Keniston Boulevard. I'm not sure that that is actually correct. I believe there is an entryway through Keniston. No? Okay, we'll talk about that later. If you would flip to page 13. So we have used a set of comparables that are more so in the southwest section of the city. We left Polo Park out of it simply because we don't think Polo Park is in the vicinity of this property, so we're not going to try and compare it. We're looking for larger spaces as well. So we have one at 51,000 that is on Seal Avenue, maybe not as comparable. 1609 Kenniston Boulevard, that is 47,374, negotiated on or starting at on March 15, 2020, and that is a Safeway. So our average is $13.13. Our median is $13. Obviously, we're going to be slightly higher than this because there are some sections of this building that are, again, well done. So we've assigned a rent of $20 to the main level and $12 to the basement level, and that nets out at about $16.60 as a blended rent. We've applied 2% vacancy allowance, shortfall of $6. And in terms of the capitalization rate, I'll ask you to turn to page 15. We've applied a 6.50 capitalization rate, giving us an income value of $17,348,658. We are asking for an income value of $17,349,000 rounded. In terms of the information in the appendix, what we've included in here is basically some market reports on the state of the car industry up and around the time of the pandemic beginning. So basically what these studies are projecting is that first of all, looking into 2020, there was a noticeable drop off in terms of the car industry, not only in terms of the demand side, but also on the supply side. And that was caused by shortages in parts, materials, specifically computer parts for vehicles. Now, the projection was into 2021, and that was a 2021 projection. So I believe at that time, they didn't have the hindsight to realize that this would be continuing longer than was expected. So the car industry went through a slight shift in terms of supply, whereas before they had plenty of new car supply, they had to shift to used car supply. And also in terms of the way that buyers were looking at the industry, that also seemed to change. And that was one of the reasons that we also included the section in our brief on the, and this is beyond page 32 from Car Gurus. And they were just basically surveying people's tendencies and looking at what people thought of the car industry and how they viewed purchasing vehicles. And what comes out of this is that there are some changes happening in terms of how people want to purchase vehicles. So again, this is looking more into the future, but again, there was clearly a change in the car market at that time that wasn't really foreseen prior to the pandemic. Now, in terms of what we put forward here, what we're saying is that the rents that we look at are more specific to the area, and we are adjusting for lower sections versus upper sections. This is a unique building. I will say that it is. You won't find too many car dealerships with lower sections or basement sections, whatever you would want to call it. I suppose in the future it could become a parking lot if this dealership didn't succeed. However, I think in general, the rent that we've applied is fair. So that is what we are asking the board to return. And I'm open for questions.
Jeremy?
Okay, I'll just, would you agree that through agency, you're effectively the owner today and should know and ought to know everything that the ownership group knows?
I caught 0% of that. I didn't hear one bit. So
I'll repeat myself. Let me know if you cut out or if I cut out. Would you
Okay.
agree through agency that you should know and ought to know everything that the ownership knows in reference to the sale?
Mr. Cole, what I would say about this sale is that no, we don't know enough about this sale to actually speak about it. That said, what we're tasked with is coming up with a market value for this property. So we go through the exercise of finding comparable properties, looking at vacancy, looking at shortfall, and coming up with a market value. Now, the city does that through a model. We do it in a slightly different way, but we go through this exercise. We simply don't look at a sale and say that is the market value of the property. Otherwise, our jobs really wouldn't be necessary. We could simply just give you the value on title, land transfer, and here you go.
Can I continue on?
Yeah, please do.
We see that there are very few sales typically for car dealerships. We see that there is one here today. And since you're putting a large weight onto how, and given your appendix about what actual car dealerships are performing at and how the market is and everything that lines up with it, we see an actual sale. Why would we not be putting an mind's eye towards that? Why is that not contained?
Well, once again, we do look at the sale, and we certainly can't derive enough from it to say that that is the market value. Hence the reason why we go through this exercise of actually trying to validate something. And we do that through an approach that is similar to yours. You're going through the same exercise. You're not coming to the same conclusions in terms of the market value of this property. Otherwise, you would have just gone with the sale value, which you didn't.
So we're just being clear. We have an actual sale between arm's length parties verified at 27,130,000. But that's for an actual car dealership and being purchased to move on as a car dealership. What me and you are doing is we can't take from an income approach any rents associated with a car dealership, any car dealership, because they don't exist. And we formulate our opinions of value on that. But having said that, we now have an actual bona fide sale.
Well, Mr. Bolt, I mean, my line of questioning was about that sale itself and whether you had actually investigated that sale. Now, you did say that you pulled the title and you looked at the land transfer, but in terms of verifying that sale by either the vendor or the purchaser, you haven't spoken to either one of them. You haven't asked whether there is an appraisal on it. You haven't asked whether there's a lease in place. There's a lot of questions on those questionnaires that actually have to be answered, and that hasn't been done. So again, if we're simply going to rely on a title and a land transfer, and we're going to make this job a lot easier, but that isn't the way that we do things.
My next question is, you indicated that based on a 75,000 square foot range for what the upper and lower rent, upper and lower, and I'm not going to call them CRUs because they're not separate, they're upper and lower areas, that my comparables weren't appropriate. Would you not put weight to say a 40 some odd thousand square foot rent? Or would you consider that it should be pushing the 75,000 square foot range? Because that would eliminate virtually all of your comparisons as well.
Well, so the highest rent that we put on this is $20 for the upper portion. And granted, we've scaled down the lower portion because we simply don't think it would be rent as high. If there was even a separate CRU there possible. So again, I don't think this is something that we haven't presented in the past, that we won't put the same rate on a lower below grade portion as an above grade portion.
As far as your comparables from index 1 through 12, are all of these retail or any of these industrial?
I believe steel maybe.
Meaning the same kind of comps that we are looking at as far as the retail locations, your national and international.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've taken a different approach in that we're looking more at the southwest section of the city as opposed to your citywide view. So there would be maybe a couple of industrial properties in here. However, there are also some retail properties in here. I mean, most notably the third one, which is one of the largest in there, is a Safeway.
And when did that actual lease, which you indicate the start date is March of 2020? Is that a step up? Is that a long-term lease? Because typically Safeways would have more than a 5-year term. They would have several.
I believe this may be a renewal. Don't quote me on that, but I believe this may be a renewal.
All right. That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Robert, any questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. One quick one, Mr. Marcelo. How do I word this? Are you asking us, do you put any weight in that transfer, that sale of the property and valuing the property at all?
I don't. I can't put any weight on it.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Diane?
My question's been answered. Thank you.
Okay, Marcello, you gave a value on the upper floor of $20. Does that include the shop area then?
That includes, yes. So we have the lower portion as being a showroom, actually, not a service bay.
Yeah, basement, you mean?
Yeah.
But the showroom's got windows in it.
Yeah.
And there's another showroom downstairs?
I believe so. That's what we've been told. I haven't been inside the building.
You didn't take any pictures of the downstairs?
No, I haven't visited this location.
Okay. Do you know what the height of the ceilings are down there?
No, all we have for the building is 20 feet, but that's the above grade portion.
So you don't know if there's windows. Access is just from outside, or do they bring the vehicles from inside to go down?
No, I believe there is access from the outside.
Just like a garage.
Yeah, I believe I said that I suppose in the future, if it didn't work out, it could be underground parking. I mean,
And there's no mezzanine on this building inside?
I don't know. I believe Mr. Pohl is actually indicating that there might be.
Because looking at the external pictures, so that might be is that part of the same rent that's falling into the?
Yeah, the $20 rent.
If I might cut in, if that's okay, just to help the board.
Sure.
On page 13, I indicated that the mezz was up top. If you look up top, you actually see it. And then if you look on my page 15, you see the stairs going up as well. And then there's that would be the only two, yeah, and on page 20, there's stairs going up as well, so.
Okay.
There's mezz or up in the area for. Sorry to interrupt, just to clarify.
No problem. I saw a few windows there, but I didn't see these stairs you were talking about on page 15. Sorry.
They're actually, you can see them on
Oh, yeah.
19.
15 and 19. Oh, the other part I said was, where's the access to go to the lower level?
I believe it is from the outside, but as to what port, where it's located, I'm not sure.
But if it's a showroom, would it not have access from the interior?
Yes, but I believe that there is an access way from the outside.
But is there one from the interior?
I'm sure there must be, yeah, like an elevated one.
Stairs, elevator, have to have something.
Yeah,
Have to have egress. Is it just one big room down there, or has anybody visited the site?
Marcel, or pardon me, Marcel, I believe there's a ramp, garage door ramp going into the basement for the vehicles to access and enter. And then there was interior, I'll call it pedestrian access for customers.
I see you drive a Audi.
Not me.
Right. I wish. How's that?
Okay, that'll be it for my questions. Anything in summation? Jeremy?
Yes, I do. Sorry about that. We come up with a formulation to come up with a market rent by the income approach because there are no rents in the marketplace. We come up with hypothetical, it's the best orange to apple kind of thing. This is what's been indicated from the municipal board. If there's an actual sale on the property for car dealership purposes, you should be looking at that. That's what we're trying to get to, but obviously we can't because it's owner occupied populace. There is no approach that you can use for specifically that. So we take that next orange to apple comparison. When there's an actual car dealership sale approaching the reference date, you should be looking at it. And today we have an ownership group who has an agent hired and isn't speaking to the sale. It's not in the brief and doesn't want it to be looked at. And we see it north of our assessment by several $1 million. I think our market approach for retail at 20 million, 626,000 is fairly conservative given the look of the actual sale, 27,000. So with that, I think it should be confirmed. Thank you.
Marcello?
Well, as I said, we are looking at the sale. These are complex transactions, and typically these properties sell differently than other properties. So one of the steps that we have taken is actually to contact the owner, and we haven't had a response in terms of the information that we need. But at the same time, part of the issue here is that we're trying to provide our interpretation of the market value of this property based on how we do things. And again, the city has done the very same thing. And what we find out often about these sales is that there's often something else motivating them. And I mean, I can speak to other properties that Mr. Pohl has listed in his sales chart, but not all of them are purchased, for the use as a car dealership. So I would say that there's still a lot out there to look at in terms of that sale before we consider it a valid sale. And again, Mr. Pohl, you yourself haven't. Sorry, that's not a summation. That's where I'll leave it.
Thank you. That'll conclude the matter. We'll then move on to the next one, which will be 55 Fultz Boulevard.
Give me 1 minute to pull it up.
We all do the same. For some reason, I'm having a problem pulling it up.
The joys of working remotely.
Yeah, got it this time, I think. Yep, there it is.
I'm here if everyone's ready.
Yeah,
Maybe
we're ready.
And I apologize for all the coughing and hacking, but that's just the way it's going to go today.
Coughing going on.
File number is 221034. Roll number is 030930059110. We see the 2020, it's for 55 volts. Obviously, the roll number, the year is for the 2023 year. The assessed value is 12,216,000. We have a build of 2019. We have a leasable area of 56,162 square feet. I am recommending for this appeal only 12,216,000, which is confirmed, or is the assessed value, which I'm asking to be confirmed, and I'll reserve any potential increase that we may apply if we choose to appeal it, or if it goes further. So I'll touch base on why as we go along. So when we go to page 7 is the property itself. So if we catch up, we see that this is 2 building sites. It was purchased. It was developed into a car dealership. You see it on the left, and you see there is another prime site waiting to be developed. The particular portion of the increase that was potential, I've looked at. I'm not asking for any increase based on that today. The reason why, one of the reasons I'm looking at is when you come off Fultz, they obviously made this site in a way, and you can see it how it's asphalt all the way to develop that site. I'm not sure if they can link up to the street that's across from it, because that is the private roadway on the condominium development for the other Waverly West. So if I'm a competitor, I'm not allowing you to link up with it. Maybe there's a fee, maybe they can, maybe there's something there that we're not knowing. But realistically, all access to the other site would also have to be at this point in time through Fultz and then across this property's already developed side and then on to the next one. So there is a prime site there. It's just there's a couple question marks I have before I ask for an increase, and I'm going to leave it off the table for now. So I'll go through the property as we see. As we go along, page 8 indicates where it is. It's just off of Kenniston, and as you can see, Waverly, all the car dealerships for Waverly is right there, and it's right literally the next site.
Did you say Kenniston?
It is a Subaru dealership.
Did you say just off Kenniston?
Sorry.
You said just off Kenniston?
Yeah, if you Kenniston wraps around it. So if you look at Waverly, you see that the Waverly on either side, there's the Waverly developments. You cannot get access to it from at this point in time, I don't believe so. You have to go down Fultz, but they have it made in a way that you could link up. Now, that's not a city street, all right? So that would be a private driveway of sorts for that condominium. Maybe they can link up. Maybe at some point in the future that, you know, I'm not privileged to that discussion, but any potential purchaser and develop of the other side, which ultimately may be the property owners themselves, right? They may put another dealership in. I'm not sure, but that may be a limiting factor there. But you do have access off Fultz, so and it is what it is. But I'm not asking for that pad site value at this particular hearing. It may be so once I complete that investigation. If we look on page 8, is just the 9 and 10. As you can see, there's just the aerial photos of the property. It's, again, bigger is better in car dealership land, and you see that, and I'll point that out. All I keep hearing is it's hard to sell cars, we can't sell cars, the internet sell cars, and yet every single dealership is moving out of the ones that they were and building brand new, bigger and better. You can see it on Region, you can see it down Kenniston Street, you can see it here, you can see additions being put on to make it competitive. And the reason for that is it's quite simple. The more you sell, the more you service. That's why they're increasing their size. They're putting a little less building to land ratio because, quite frankly, they're filling it in. But you develop more economic opportunity on that site. Bigger is better. You sell more cars, you service more cars, and that's straight push from my understanding and from reading through the article straight from the manufacturer. So as you can see, if you have a franchisee, you're building bigger, you're building better franchisee. So, but again, we'll just go through it as we go along. So page 11 and page 12 just show that it is quite a nice dealership. It is brand new, similar to your newer builds. I don't have as many detailed photos of this one. It's just off their website. I've never been in this property, but as you can see, it is your standard build for your new dealerships. Large service bays, large showroom, just on-site storage that you need. They're not small service bays, as you can see from the pictures. You're not servicing 8 cars at a time or 10 cars at a time. That doesn't happen for new builds. So, if we go a little further, we go to page 27, which is the status of title, which I checked. We see on page 29, we have a mortgage registered for $14,560,000. And then if you go a little further, on page 32, we have the actual building permit for the dealership, which confirms it was a $12 million build. That's not inclusive of land. That's just the dealership itself, and it's due diligence there. And then you have an I&E that's properly filled out, fully owner occupied, approximately 56,000 square feet, what they indicated on the permit, but 162 square feet less, but it's fine. And then they actually indicate the number of stalls, although we know it's not income based, it's just what they have on site, what they can store on site. So, and then they check off nicely on both forms that it's owner occupied. You could have filled this out any better, so no issues with that. Page 35 and 36 is simply the COVID questionnaire. And then after that is getting into the same arguments that we've already made and evidence that we've already made. So we don't need to get into that. We'll just commentary from the previous character. So when we get back to the income stream, which we have modeled, which is on page 3, we see for 56,162 square feet, we have $14.77, and that produces a potential gross income of $829,513. Same standard parameters apply: 2% for vacancy, expenses that are non-recoverable 3%, and shortfall at $6 gives us a net operating income of $781,796, capped at 6.4%. And again, you would think the last building, there are newer buildings for retail purposes, you would have a lower cap, and based on the finishing that's there. So the capitalized value is $12,215,563. And then when I looked at the property, I would be putting on around a $3 million for that pad site if you're going to be selling that pad site, give or take. So, but I'm not asking for the increase here today. We're simply wanting it to be confirmed $12,216,000 mark. And if it goes further, I'll do a little bit more due diligence and determine whether that adds. In my opinion, it does have value, must have value, see it being developed as such. Is just my question before I determine what value is. Can you link up? Do you have to drive through the one pad site? There's a little bit of hesitation there. But overall, I think a $20 rate is very reasonable where it is. It's just for this particular bill, I'm going to choose to be on the conservative side and not ask for increase. So, with that, I'm open to questions.
Marcello?
Yeah, Mr. Pohl, in terms of your land rate here that you have for 150,000 square feet, I believe that is
What page? What page?
That would be page 3.
Okay. Sorry, you broke up there. I couldn't hear what. Okay, page 3. Yes.
Okay, just give me a second here while I do a quick calculation.
$20 a square foot.
Yeah.
And that's for approximately 40% of the site, of the total gross area of the site, so not the entire, it's not a 50-50 split. You would need your roadway across that the primary, obviously Patterson Group would be controlling of.
Right. And in terms of the sales that you looked at there, I agree, you're not using that, but where did you get the rate of $20 per square foot from?
I've been an assessor for almost 20 years. I can review the value. I'm not asking for the increase. I'm telling you that a $20 rate is a very conservative range, the lower end of the range. And that if I were to be applying it, well, excuse me, I apologize. It would be on page 83, my brief. And that is just ahead of the last assessor's brief for 2020, the 2021 year, as well as Altus's brief on page 86, where both, and in the board order as well, where none of that was contemplated, where I don't know how you could miss that. You would have to look at it and go, that is a building site there. There's clearly a building site there. It's clearly worth something. The only issue that I have, and again, I go through the comparables that you want for 83, but I'm not asking for the increase. It's just simply, can it be hooked up? Will it be hooked up? That's private land on the other side of that. And if I'm a car dealership on Waverly, I'm sure not going to help the man next to me competing against me.
Okay.
But
So
maybe there's a fee they'll pay. Maybe there's a reason. You know, there's a reason. You can see how it's developed. You know, it looks like
and
it's
just to make sure about these sales, a lot of these are coming from Tuxedo, correct?
They're just a few sales that I brought in for comparison's sake. Yes.
Right. And those are for the most part zone C4, correct?
I'm not asking for the increase.
Okay.
So we're clear.
What is the zoning on this property?
Zoning would be, I believe it's talk if I can get coughing. Zoning would be M.
Okay. And the rest of it is the same as the others, the other property that we looked at? In terms of
it's the exact same with the exception of the obviously pad site that's ready to go. But given that we're not putting any request for increase, it's just being pointed out from the assessors.
Very good, thank you. Those are my questions.
Diane, any questions?
So just to, in my head, have to get around this. So you're saying that the building portion is 12,216,000. The land portion that the building is not on is $3 million for a total of 15. Is that correct?
If I would be seeking an increase, that's what I would be asking for. The 12,216,000 is just for the developed side. And we're asking for that to be confirmed. I'm not asking for the increase. The reason
okay, so we're just talking about the 12,216,000. We're not worrying about.
I have to when I'm reviewing each property. When I'm reviewing each property, I have to look at it for what it is, and clearly there's value to that building site. There is.
Correct.
But it just if I'm not going to be putting on, there must be a reason why, and the reason why is because I'm looking at that going, is there access? Is there access through the strip to the and at this point, for myself, I would err on the side of caution. Because if there's no access there, I might choose to put a lesser value on that. Or if there is, then we might go the opposite way. Maybe it's not so lesser. So at this point,
we're just using the total of 12,216,000 today.
Yeah,
we're not.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. That's where I was getting confused. All right.
Robert?
No questions, Mr. Chair.
And I've got no questions. Marcello?
Hey, this is 55 Bolts Boulevard. And if you're not familiar with this property, you can see on page 8 how you get to this property. So you have to access through Henlow Bay and then through Fultz Boulevard. There is no access any other way. If you go to the end of the site, and if you look at page 6, this site is not connected to the auto mall. There, in fact, is a barrier there between the two. show there is no access into this property from the auto mall. It's not connected to the auto mall. They're not associated with the auto mall. So really the only access point is through Henlow Bay. And typically what we did last cycle is note that if you look at page 8 on the property land description, I believe it's on the 4th paragraph. It says there is no direct access from Waverly Auto Mall. Access is via Kenniston or Waverly, accessing through Dover Court or through Henlow Bay. Limited access through an industrial park puts this dealership at a disadvantage. So we adjusted the capitalization rate to reflect this last cycle, and we're doing it again. In terms of the rent and the other parameters, we're not far apart in terms of the rent or any other parameter. But in terms of the capitalization rate, we think that there should be an additional premium put on that, because really, I mean, this is poor access into a fleet dealership. So that is basically the crux of our argument. If you look at our valuation on page 14, you can see that we do still retain the non-recoverable expense study. I'm sure most of you have heard that study, so you don't need to again. But in terms of the capitalization rate, we've put a capitalization rate of 7% on this property. The assessor, I believe, has a 6.4 capitalization rate on it. And that is simply to account for what I would deem as poor access into this property. Now, if this property had access from Kenniston, that would be a completely different situation. But that hasn't happened. So that is really the only point that I'm wanting to make on this property. We are asking for a reduction to 10,324,000 rounded, and that is basically built on the change in the capitalization rate and the non-recoverable expenses. And I'm open for questions.
Diane,
The rest of the
I'm sorry, I got to start with you, Jeremy.
Yeah, it's okay. That's okay. Yeah, that kind of put me on pause too when I'm looking at this. Would you agree that that building site that's undeveloped does have value?
I believe at this point, I would say that it may have some value. However, it's not excess land. You have no access into it. So it's simply their land. They may decide to put more vehicles on it at some point. At this point, we don't really know. It does look like a building site, but the fact is that those issues have to be worked out before anything can be done with that site.
Okay. But just so we're clear, it's M zoned. It's you can do a variety of things. It doesn't have to be just car dealership. Although having said that, everything to the right is all car dealership. But you could develop that site into pretty much anything you want, right? So it could be less, being in more of an industrial building where you wouldn't need all that great of access versus a car dealership, correct?
I think at this point there would have to be some issues that you would have to clarify, and that would have to go through the planning process.
So that's fair enough. And then I'm sorry to beat to hound this point a little bit, but it's pretty obvious. They put a roadway. It looks like an approach into that cul-de-sac on the private property on the other end. Is there any talks, any discussions? Is there any possibility? Patterson Group isn't small, so they usually get what they need, and they usually would pay for it, I would think.
Yeah.
But it clearly leads into it. And there's another building site there. Has there been any talks of them selling off that one site to anyone else or anything?
I think those things were dealt with at the beginning of the life of the property when it was being built. So the issue with the Waverly Auto Mall never worked out. It's not going to, from my understanding of it. This is a separate site. I think there would be more. There would probably be more possibility of them gaining access via Kenniston to this site directly than to go through the auto mall. But again, those are hurdles that they haven't crossed yet.
Okay. The only thing I was thinking, like realistically, same thing in Birchwood, same, although there's common ownership now through part of there, that there may be a VXG, just a collision center put in where all the sites can use it. There'd be a partnership involved, blah, 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 sort of thing. And it seems like it fit in there. It seems like it, I just where I'm looking at it. If you don't have any information on it, then that's fine. Okay. That's the only question I had. And that's it.
Diane?
Sorry, you keep saying access is through Henlow Bay, but it's actually on Fultz Boulevard, correct? You're meaning they have to come off of Kenniston, turn onto something, come onto Henlow Bay, and then get into Fultz Boulevard? Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
now I kind of got you. All right, no, sorry, again, that cul-de-sac thing that shows, I'm not good, on the right of that open building on your page 6, on the open land. Is there access from that cul-de-sac through that back lane sort of thing into that building?
Okay, just so I'm correct on this,
Which page are you, Diane?
there is an access point at the end of Fultz that goes right into the dealership.
Okay, I'll go to the right of that.
Yeah, and if you,
There's that little line thing that goes to that cul-de-sac. Is there entrance off that cul-de-sac?
yes,
Blank property there? There is, okay,
yeah,
okay.
that is the only entrance point into the property.
The blank property.
Yeah, so at the end of the yellow line that says Fultz Boulevard, there is a cul-de-sac there.
Okay, that's not the cul-de-sac I'm talking about. I'm talking about to the right of the empty property. So you see your white arrow.
Okay.
And then if
okay.
we go up a little bit from there to the right, there's a cul-de-sac there. Is there
No,
entrance to that blank
No.
property?
No, there is a barrier there.
Oh, okay, okay.
What page are you on for this, Diane?
I was looking at
6.
page 6.
On the cities or on Marcello's?
On mine.
Alphas, on his, yeah. I was just trying to figure out, I can see the main entrance comes off of Fultz, absolutely. But I was looking at the blank property or the empty property or
Yes.
whatever we want to call it. With
So,
no structure on it.
So in the description, I actually said that there is only access through one point. There is no access from the auto mall. The two are unrelated and they have no agreement. They have tried to work things out, but in the end, it didn't. So the two are separate sites.
Okay.
No access into each other's site.
Okay, thank you.
Robert?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I hesitate to introduce evidence here, but I noticed both parties haven't included any land sales history on this subject property, and it was built in 2019. Does anybody have any information related to that by the Pattison Group?
Are you talking about the land transaction?
Yes.
I don't.
Okay. That's fair, Marcello. I don't mean to introduce evidence. And I guess, Jeremy, you didn't include it, so I'll withdraw the question. Sorry.
Okay. When was it built? In 2019?
Yes.
When were the permits applied for on this property? How long did it take before they got permits?
I would be speculating at this point. I don't have that record on me.
Are you asking myself?
Neither of you.
The permits in place, I put that in. It would be on page 32. They applied for it. It was issued anyways in 2018. As far as the sale of getting to that point of the property, I was unable to find it as it was, I believe it was a replot. Bear with me here, I'll see if I can find it. It was a replot because it was split. Bear with me.
That was a property that was allocated from the building that was on Hemlow Bay before, originally, correct?
Yeah, like I believe it was split, so I don't have the exact information because the roll number is different now. It's different. So
We've only got one egress. There's supposed to be two egresses for these types of properties for fire. How did they get a permit?
that's not a question I could really ask. That's why I was asking about the development going to the right, and the right is South Ridge, I believe. Bear with me, I'll give you the actual name. South Ridge, sorry. The cul-de-sac and the drive, I guess you'd say, is South Ridge Drive. I honestly was wondering, is it, like, I mean, I haven't been out to the site in a while, but is it in place? Did they go through? I can't. You can see, yeah, you can see how it's developed. It looks like it was going to be done and it hasn't been done. So that would put a limiting factor on developing that site. As far as if I'm going to do another dealership, you can have access to it, but I could also develop it in another way in any other things. It's a Class M, but I don't think there would be anything really there, potential there. Because if it'd be me, I'd be wanting to do another dealership there if I own the property or sell it off. But I honestly don't know. It was a pause on my reasoning for asking for increase. So that's my point in it. Clearly, the better way to look at it is the site clearly does have value, but that's a question I'd like answered before I put a value to it.
Okay, anything in summation? Or I guess you just did it.
No.
For your summation.
I'm good.
You're good? Marcello,
I'm good, thank you.
you're good?
Mr.
Yeah.
Chair, may I request a quick 5-minute break?
I'll make it 10.
10.
Thank
Okay.
you. I was just about to ask. I only need 5. That's okay.
We're gonna take a break, 5 to 10 minutes.
Mr.
Call the meeting
Rivera,
back to order. Mr. Secretary, Stephen, can you swear Marcello in?
stand with the applicant, please state your full name.
Marcelo Navarro,
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Marcello, will you confirm that all the evidence that you put forward on 55 Fultz Boulevard was the truth and the whole truth?
Yeah, that was for 55 Fultz and for,
Sterling Line Parkway.
485 Sterling Line Parkway.
Yeah. Okay,
I can confirm that.
thank you. Let's move on to item number 4 at 1717 Waverly, please.
Bear with me for one moment.
Let's see if we can.
Huh. Well, it'd help if I click on the right file number. All right. I got a lot of file numbers. Unit 100, 1770 Waverly. File number is 221688. Roll number is 030929690000. 2023 assessment is for 11,211,000. This property was built in 2003 and had an addition put on in 2020. It has effective year of 2010. It's 54,004 square feet. There is a sale for this property in December of 2013 for $9,500,000. It's Midtown Ford. Bear with me here. So if we go to page we go to page 7. It's the layout of the property. And as you can see, there was an addition put on. It shows it, service bay, and a little bit in the frontage as well for the showroom. You can see it in the 2 photos there, where the top one has the additions put on and the bottom one does not. Same as on page 8, you see the service bay that they put on towards the back, and they filled in some of the front area for the actual showroom. And you can see that again on page 9 and 10. They went from the older frontage to the newer frontage. And as I indicated, these things are being improved as we go along. You're either building new, or you're moving out, or you're scrapping it, or you're doing whatever, but you're constantly improving your site. So, and then as we go through pages 11 and 12, we're just going to get into in the remainder of pages, just the photos of from their website. So they put in a good addition. They revamped the showroom, and they put in service bays towards the back. And some of these pictures are obviously, this is actually from an inspection that was done from a field assistant who went out to look at the property when it was being developed. So it's not straight off the web, but we actually had an inspector going out, and they were doing it. It is done as of January 1st, 2023, though. So on page 28 is the actual permit. That's the addition. And it was for $4.5 million. Permit value, bottom there, if you might have to scroll it up a little bit, but it's for $4.5 million for the additions that were put on and the renovation work that was done. So on page 29 is where we sent the INE to, and we had no signature, we had no return. I don't have anything further to go on. I'm not asking for non-compliance. We're just going to leave it at that. On page 31 is the sale history of the property. This was one that was in the comparisons that I've used. It was on, bear with me here. It was on my comparison 4. So unit 100, 1770 Waverly is number 4 on page 41. So as we go through this, scrolling down, we see that the mortgage as of 2015 was for $10,750,000, and that's on page 4. If you look a little further down on page 36, we see the land transfer, the originating instruments, which is $9.5 million. And then again, as indicated on page 37, you see that they actually declare fair market value is $9.5 million. And just so we're clear, and I'm going to say it a lot, hopefully I don't say too much. When you see 0.9 on the status of title, it is always the fair market value declared. It cannot be anything other. So if I bring in the land transfer documents, if I can get them on time for a board division hearing, and the turnaround time that I have to go between the signing and doing my due diligence and hearing date is usually pretty tight, and I can't get them. But this number always matches. It can't not match. So, so if we just get the sales, the status of title, that should be more than enough, is what I'm getting. But in this case here, I was able to get the transfer documents as well, which indicates 9.5. So that's why that's in there as well. Same comparisons that are being used in the package that are being used again, that are being used here today. So we can go up and we can look at what the building is now. Again, they put a bit of addition on at the back. They updated the showroom. So on page 3 is the workup for 54,004 square feet, roughly 54,000. We have $14.43, which produces a potential gross income of $779,278. Our same standard parameters of 2% for vacancy, 3% on removable expenses, and shortfall at $6 gives us a net operating income of $7,734,301. And again, capped at 6.55% gives us our $11,211,000. given the fact that we see a mortgage for the property, which was at, where was it here? 10,750,000. I think with the additional work that was put on it and market generally increasing from that point in time, that our value of 11,211,000 is fairly conservative, and that's well supportive of the sale that occurred for the fair market value of 9.5 million, which is 2013, so about 8 years ago the estate. So with that, I'm open to questions.
Marcello,
Your value is all model driven,
Correct.
okay? And in terms of the sale, other than providing us with the information regarding the title and the land transfer, do you have the sales questionnaire?
I don't have that, no.
Okay, so this sale took place almost 10 years ago, and during that time, nobody spoke to either the vendor or purchaser.
There may have been a sales questionnaire. Like I said, we don't produce those at hearing. There's privacy issues on that. But as far as whether it was sent or not, I'm doing the extra step. The due diligence is actually seeing what's being declared to land titles and as far as what fair market value is. So I think I've done more than enough for this level of deal. But I didn't produce. I'm not producing the sales questionnaire if there was one sent received. So
Did everyone get that memo about the questionnaires at the city assessment department?
I'm not. Can you elaborate
Okay.
on what you?
I've seen several assessors produce those. So is that just a personal thing, or is that
As far as producing, I'm
the sales questionnaire?
Sales questionnaire we can ask and we can use. As far as the usual disclosure of those, we usually do not do that. If other assessors are doing it, I may be particular to that subject property.
Those are my questions. Thank you.
Robert,
No questions. Thank you.
Diane,
I have no questions. Thank you.
I've got no questions. Mr. Marcello, you're up.
Hey, so you can see our general location. This property is located within the auto mall. In terms of the rents that you have there, I would ask you that you disregard this. I believe you would have received a correction on these. Can you verify that you have that correction?
We do.
Okay.
You sent it in already, Jason, or you sent it to us.
Yeah. Now, in terms of the rent, we've gone with a rent of $13.50, a vacancy allowance of 2%, shortfall of 6% non-recoverable expenses, capitalization rate of 7%, giving us a value of $9,399,705 or $9,400,000. In terms of the evidence that I have included here, it is the same evidence that I've included in the other vehicle dealerships. So I'm open for questions.
Jeremy,
I don't have any questions. It's be the same standard commentary.
okay. Robert,
I am good. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Diane,
No questions here either. Thank you.
I'm good. Anything in summation, gentlemen?
No, thank you.
Good.
Thank you. That'll conclude that matter. We'll move to item number 5, 1700 Waverly, Unit D.
Did you say Unit D or Unit C2? think we're on
Oh,
unit
sorry,
C2.
C2.
No problem. Okay, file number is 221187. Roll number is 0306504360. It's unit C2, 70 Waverly. The 2023 assessment is $5,454,000. It was built in 2007, with an addition in 2018. So leasable area is 24,921 square feet. If we scroll ahead to page 7, as you can see, the location of the property similar to all the rest of the ones that we're dealing with today. It is on just backing onto Scurfield, and it's in the dealership on the east side of the dealership Waverly Group. It is Hyundai. It's a Hyundai dealership. So as we scroll through page 9, shows the dealership as it sits. Page 10 as well, showing the renovation that occurred. As you can see, it's your standard typical dealership, is today's standard, I should say. As you can see on page 17 is what the dealership used to look like. Top picture. It was quite small compared to what it is now. They put a large addition onto the back, and they extended out the new showroom area out front. So they increased the area of square foot by quite a bit. The permit is on page 19. It was taken out in 2018. And it's for $2.5 million. As you can see, as the pictures we go along, the additions that the segment of the buildings you can quite see quite well. They put the addition up front, and then they put the addition out back, and then obviously the renovation work that occurred on site. And then 21 is again what it looked like prior. On page 22 is the sales questionnaire. Sales questionnaire is the income expense questionnaire, indicating that it is owner occupied in the square foot area that it is associated with it. They check net. Obviously, it's a book rent. It's two corporations with common ownership. So page 24 is the COVID questionnaire. They indicated it was a moderate impact. And again, they reference a tenant on page 25, which really isn't a tenant. It's again, common ownership. And the rest of it from that point on is the same standard comparables and what we've already discussed here today. So we don't need to go into that. If we go back to my page 3, for the 24,921 square feet, we have $15.09 a square foot, which produces a potential gross income of $376,058. Same standard parameters of 2% for vacancy, non-recoverable expenses at 3%, and shortfall at $6 gives us $354,490 for a net operating income capped at 6.5%, gives us $5,454,000. So with that, I am open to questions.
This is modeled again,
Yes.
and it's just the standard package you provided as in the other appeals, correct?
Yes, with the exception of obviously the permit work and the pictures of the renovated spaces.
I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
No questions, thank you.
Marcel, you're on mute.
Well, that would help.
Yeah,
Diane,
I have
any
no
questions?
question. I have no questions either.
That would help. Thank you, Diane.
Okay.
Who
We
does
can
have
do lips. Okay,
anything in summation? Marcello. Marcello? I didn't hear.
Now,
I haven't presented actually.
I'm sorry. My God. Marcello, can you present, please?
Okay. So you can see on page 6 and 7, the property and the property lines there. I'm not showing the property lines there. You can actually see it better in the assessor's I believe page 9. So in terms of the land to building ratio, this is a smaller dealership, but basically you are looking at a much lower land to building ratio than you would for your typical car dealership. Now they do own the adjacent lot beside, but that is a different parcel altogether. So you can see that the site is 2.90 acres. And in terms of the rent, you can see on page 13 again, you would need to look at your corrected values, the correction that was sent out. So we've gone with a rent of $13.75. There is a contract rent in place, but again, these parties are one and the same. So we're not looking at that rent. And in terms of the other parameters, again, we've gone with the same parameters. Vacancy. Vacancy should actually be 2%. It should not be 4%. And we have gone with a $6 shortfall, 5% management, 7% capitalization rate. I would have to recalculate that out for you. But in terms of vacancy, it is actually 2%, not 4%.
3%, not 4%, right?
2. Do you need me to recalculate that out?
probably best.
Yeah, okay. I will, if we could just take a short break here, I will work on that. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Okay. So the effective market has a 2% vacancy on it. So that is $6,053.28. That gives us an effective market income of $335,810.72. I rounded it to 335,811. The shortfall at $6 is 2,991, and that is rounded. And management stays the same at 16,448. Other stays the same at 6,579. The total of the allowances under expenses is 26,018. So we take that away from the 335,811. That gives us a net operating income of $309,793.
300 and how many thousand, sorry?
793.
No, give me the whole number, sorry.
309,793.
309, yep. Thank you, it just cut out there.
Okay, and that's capitalized at 7%. That gives us a value of $4,425,614, or $4,426,000.
That's it.
That's it. The remainder of the report is the same as the others, so I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Don't really have any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Robert, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Diane, any questions?
I do not.
And I do not. So we will move on to the next item, number 6. 1700 Waverly, Unit D.
File number 223144. Roll number is 030650438800. Unit D, 1700 Waverly. Roll number is 2020, or sorry, year number is 2023. The assessed value is $12,383,000. It's in 1998. We have an effective age of 2002. It's 64,401 square feet. If we look at page 7, is the location of the dealership. For a long time, it is the, I don't want to say the word premier dealership, but it is the largest one, is the one that has the most economic opportunity on it. That's why you don't see any real additions put on it, and it was already very big to begin with. So you look at page 8 and 9, just gives you a look of the roll number itself. So as you can see, as you go through here, Murray Chevrolet. The ownership group is on page 14. They check off as net. Excuse me. They check off as net lease, but then they also note that landlord and tenant have common ownership, so no surprises there. COVID report is the same as the other properties, or other properties as well. They indicate it as a moderate impact or it's minor impact in most of these. On page 18 is just the changing of the business name to Murray Chevrolet from Dan Murray Chevrolet Oldsmobile. So aside from that, it is the same standard comparables all the way throughout, so we don't need to speak to that. You look at page 3 is the workup. For 64,401 square feet, we have $13.68, which gives a potential gross rent of $887,446. Our same standard parameters, 2% for vacancy, expenses non-recoverable at 3%, and shortfall at $6 gives a net operating income of $834,878, capped at 6.75%, gives us the $12,383,000 that the assessment is today. So with that, I'm open to questions.
Marcello, any questions?
No, I think we've established that these are pretty much the same as the others, so I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert,
I am good. Thank you. No questions.
Diane,
No questions, thank you.
and I've got no questions. Anything in summation? Marcello?
I have to present still.
I'm sorry. I'm doing this each time, aren't I? Go ahead. Make your presentation, Marcello. You said it was all the same as last time.
The brief is pretty much the same as the last one. It contains the same information, the same sale, the corrected rates or lease rates that I sent in. And in terms of evaluation, on page 14, you can see that we went with the $13 rent, 2% vacancy, $6 shortfall, $5 on management, 2% other, and 7% capitalization rate. So we've also deducted $291,000 from roll 03091 13,187,00. So that gives us a value of $10,499,112.
Jeremy, you have some questions?
Just on the adjustment is because it leases the land next to it, right? Correct?
That's correct.
And we are valuing this as a fee simple basis. In the past, we used to be dealing with that issue, but our analysis differs because we just do the site specific, I should say the fee simple value of the property. So we wouldn't be making any adjustment for that. Do you have an appeal out on this particular land?
I don't believe so.
Okay. That would be in my next question, because if you were going to be having one out, usually what would be following, if they include this value in it, they withdraw that, or you would withdraw that
Right.
appeal.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just confirming. So, okay. All right. That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert, questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Diane?
No, sir.
I've got no questions. Anything in summation now, Marcello?
Nope. Oh, I'm good.
And yourself, Jeremy?
I'm good.
You're good. Let's move on to the next one. Let's keep this up. 925 La Gimodière. Oops.
All right.
When you're ready, Jeremy.
Yeah, just bear with me.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Roll or file number is 22-1864. Roll number is 06050212500924 Laguna Boulevard. We have 2023 assessment for $7,808,000. Built in 1984. We have an addition on 1990. We have an effective age of 1985. We have a leasable area of 49,496 square feet. If we go down to page 7, and this is where we're going to get into the more, as we were speaking earlier today, vehicle dealerships. Or is it, our test case scenario? This would fall into the third category, more of industrial flavor, non-residential fleet vehicles kind of thing, your residential market for vehicles. If you look at the location, it is just off of Dugald. It's a big site. Page 8. I'm a customer there. I go there. It's Enns Brothers. They sell Can-Am, Can-Ad products. Now they sell aluminum craft boats. They sell a large amount of off-road vehicles, and the best terminology that should be used is power sports dealership. It is a power sports dealership. That's how they phrase it in the industry. That's the term that we should be using. It would fall under the umbrella of dealerships. So it's not just car dealerships, as much as or auto dealerships, as much as the municipal board is using that term for certain things. It falls under the umbrella. So when we looked at this prior, I believe it was an industrial. It was looked at as an industrial way. It was switched over to a power sports dealership, or vehicles dealership, and I've confirmed that this is correct and it should be moving forward as such. As you can see from the inside, you have your standard. If you ever go into any of these, and I own quads, I own boats, I've been in them for years. It's your standard desk. It doesn't show it in the pictures, but there's a bit of offices up front for your sales or cubicle, I guess you would say. But in the back, it's polished concrete, mezzanine area, and what they sell is on the floor. And as you can see from the pictures, lots of Sea-Doos, lots of Mastercraft boats. There's aluminum craft as well, pontoon boats, quads, as side-by-sides if you're going to be buying any of those, which I like, but unfortunately the price on those are more than a truck sometimes. So there's a little out of my price rate for some of those. As you can see, the mezzanine on pages 13 and 14, they sell their Ski-Doos as well. So they pretty much have the entire product line that you would need for both a summer and a winter business to carry on. You can see in the back they sell John Deere, but that's more on their opposite end. They have one on Headingley there that they sell more on out of that location. So typically when you see these power sports dealerships, you live in Winnipeg, it's frozen half the year. You're selling stuff for the summer and you're selling stuff for the winter. If not, you're only making half the money. So when you go around to these places, you see exactly that, and they're no different here. So from that, it's established that it is a power sports dealership, and it would fall under the same comparables that we're using. On the next page is on page 17 and 18 is the request that we sent. It never came back. I don't have any further things to go on. I'll leave it at that. Non-compliance is not a play here today. The next comparables are exactly what we've already spoken to. We're not going to go into any further analysis on that. We've already spoken to that a lot. We go up to page 3. We see the workup for 49,496 square feet. We have a lower rent on it, and that's at $11.66. Hence the non-need to go into more industrial flavored comparables. I could have brought that in, but realistically the model deducted quite a bit from where we would be, which was typically a $15 range, $16 range, $14 range. We're already at $11.66. So I feel that's fair and reasonable. We don't need to go into any further than that. Our leasable area attached to that for PGI is $577,123. Our same standard parameters of 2% for vacancy, expenses at non-recoverable at 3%, and shortfall at $6 gives a net operating income of $542,674, capped at 6.95%, gives us our capitalized value of $7,808,000 rounded. So with that, I'm open to questions.
Marcello, questions?
The only question I have is that this, again, you'll confirm that this is part of that third stream of appeals that we would be looking at, which is more dealing with the influence of industrial areas.
Yeah, it's not just industrial area, but I mean, typically they are industrial areas. You're not going to have a boat dealership in Waverly, or this kind of dealerships there, or at
Right.
But realistically, they're usually at these kind of locations. But it's also what they sell and what they service. Some of them will be cat dealerships, some will be heavy equipment dealerships, they'll be more along those lines. But in this case here, it's power sports. So yeah, it's the third grouping.
Okay, thank you.
Robert?
One quick question, thank you. Mr. Paul, is this just off Dougal Road, is that right, fronting on La Jamodier?
Fronting on La Jamodier. It's in between Marin and Dougal, kind of right in the middle.
Okay, thank you, that's my.
In between Dougal and Marion.
In between.
Is it not in between Dougal and Marion?
Yeah, that's just what I just said.
Oh, I thought you said Narren. I'm sorry.
Oh no, Marion. Maybe I
Okay.
did.
I thought
Maybe
you
I
said Narren. I'm sorry.
Maybe I did.
Everything sounds different. Okay.
Thank you.
Diane, any questions?
Not, no.
So how did you derive that rent when I don't see any rent in your?
Like I said, it's model driven. For these peripheral ones, there be a limited amount of it. So when I see $11.66, the model's already adjusted downward from that market by a considerable amount, about $4 or $5. That's enough for me to be reasonable. If I'd be going out there and looking at realistically what we would be doing for the periphery case, for the industrial case, we'd be looking at an industrial set of parameters and transposing that on here. But I can't make that call yet because an industrial set of parameters comes with different cap rates, different shortfall, different everything. And before we would do that, I would need to go through a test case scenario. So I'm not on the side of moving to that yet because we're just not there yet. If the board ultimately hears the entire arguments and they go, no, you're going industrial for these ones, then more or less that's what we'll be doing. But that's the cart before the horse kind of scenario. Not there yet. So at $11.66, I think it's fairly discounted from the standard market what we're pulling from. So I think that's reasonable.
Okay, we'll see what Marcello has to say. Thank you very much. Marcello, on with your presentation.
Okay, so I think Mr. Cole outlined the issue quite well. So there is a difference of opinion on how we should apply rent to these types of scenarios. And then there is the the choice to go with retail rents from other areas, or as we've noted, we think that this has more in common with the industrial market in that area and would probably achieve similar rents. So we've gone with rents specific to the area of the subject. So all of these rents are basically taken from the same area, which is that corridor that is southeast of the corner of Dougal and La Jamodier. So that would be the new industrial areas in St. Boniface and along Dougal Road. So we've taken a set of properties, looked at them, looked at their rents, looked at the size of the properties and the ages of the property. And from that, we got an average of $7.54, $6.92 as a median. We've elected to put a rent on this property of $8.25. And that's based on age, based on location, based on the size of the property. We've made those adjustments and come to a rent of $8.25. If you look at page 15, you can see our workup. Again, this is the standard 2% vacancy, shortfall of 6. Non-recoverable expenses stay the same. We get a net operating income of $366,223, capitalization rate of 6.50, and an income value of $5,634,206. That is rounded to $5,634,000. In terms of the appendix, you'll notice that these properties are a little bit thinner than the other properties, and we didn't include the section on car dealerships and the auto market. Again, we feel that these properties are slightly different than the other properties. In fact, we actually did submit, I believe, the the Altus Industrial Cap study on this property. So we're open for questions.
Jeremy?
Sure. I just have really not. Why were you, if you go to your vacancy, why are you not in shortfall? Why are you not using more of an industrial vacancy, industrial shortfall?
Well, we're still recognizing the use of the property to an extent. It's just that we think that the surrounding market will affect the rent. And by surrounding, I mean very immediate area. So that is where we differ in terms of the approach. So, I mean, your model is different, but I mean, in terms of the comparable properties that you presented, those are strictly retail rents coming from other areas of the city, Polo Park area, Sterling Lion. We don't necessarily agree that those rents are appropriate, and we recognize that the model has adjusted that. But again, I think in this example and these examples that you're going to see, we're taking specifically from that area.
All right, that's the only question I have. Thank you.
Robert?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So page 13, from what I understand, your 8.25, I'll call it a blended rate that you're using, is a combination of industrial rents and auto use rents. Is that correct?
I didn't necessarily take from the auto use. I took strictly from the area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And my only second question follow up to that would be, are any of those, I'll call them larger industrial, you label them, are they retail at all?
No, I'd say that most of them are, if not all, are industrial properties.
Okay, thank you. That's all my question.
Diane?
Just one question. So you think there's a difference between auto use and recreational use or power sports?
Yes, I believe so.
And the power sports would have a lower value than the auto use properties?
I think power sports would have a lower value, but they would be influenced by the area that they're in.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And I've got no questions. Anything in summation, gentlemen?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
We're good. Let's move on to the next one, which will be 1350 Dugald. What? Do we have extra in there? Oh, there's only one.
To this property and one more.
Yeah, one more after that. Yeah.
Mhm.
They're side by side.
I just didn't see anything from the appellant. Is there something from the appellant on this one?
Yep.
Not on mine.
Okay, you want to take
You want to wait till we get on? the
Oh,
same
I got
page?
it now. I got it now. It's further down for some reason on mine. I don't know what you guys.
Okay.
Go ahead.
File number is 22-931. Roll number is 09605 195-400, 1350 Dugald. The assessed value for the 2023 cycle is $4,036,000. We have a leasable area of 26,161 square feet, effective year of 1997 per year built. It is owner occupied. If you go down to page 7 is the photograph of this. Ron's Marine. I've been in it quite a bit. I'm a customer there as well. And I've looked at this in the past, so excuse me. They sell quite a bit. There is a preliminary hearing order for this that excluded it from, at the municipal level, excluded it from the periphery car dealership or vehicle dealership group. They call it an auto dealership as far as the grouping, but this one here was kind of the precipice of the periphery or industrial flavored. When I look at this property here, it shouldn't be called a marina. It's not a marina. You can't drive to it, dock your boat at it. It's not a marina. They sell marine sports and they sell power sports. Again, you do both in the city, otherwise you're not making money half the year. So when you look through it, they're selling, and most of what they sell has an MPI plate on it, same as the other dealership, Enns Brothers, same thing. The trailers have MPI plates on it. All of the quads and power sports have, snowmobiles have MPI plates on it. Victory motorcycles have MPI plates on it. So a lot of what they sell, primarily all of what they sell, have MPI registration on it. So we should be looking at this again as a power sports dealership. Not sure where the marina thing came in, other than they couldn't get past the name that says Bronze Marine. They've got a lot of things that have 4 wheels there, and belts that drive on. It's not just boats. As you go through here on page 8, as you go through here, I'll show you exactly what I mean. Snowmobiles, quads, side-by-sides. You have Polaris's version of a spider. I don't know exactly what you call it. Can-Am's version is a spider. Dirt bikes, obviously. And now, of course, you have all the gear that's associated with it, all the maintenance stuff that you need. There you go, page 13. I don't even know what they call that. It's Clarence's answer to the spider. It's that drives on pavement. They sell them. And in the back, they sell their boats as well. Crescent Liner, they sell the Brunswick line of boats. Crescent Liner, I think Lumacraft was in there until they got bought by BRP. But again, these things kind of, product lines kind of change as you go along. If you follow along long enough. So, but again, they typically sell your power sports stuff. So on page 16, is it 2000? Sorry.
Continue.
That's okay. 2021 inspection. It was an inspection of the property. And these are the photos from it. And again, I'm just showing this here on page 17, the product lines that they carry. They do change from time to time. Now they're carrying Mastercraft boats here and Pritzcraft, where they had, they had Lumacraft at one point in time. They don't anymore. So, so as you can see, that's what they sell. And a lot of what they sell, like I said, needs an MPI plate because you need to be registered. So it's not just a marine-based service. So this is from the inspection that was actually internal. The other ones were just from the website that I pulled off their website. So as we go along, you can see, they do the whole power sports thing again. So we flick through, we're on page 29. We're getting into the service bay. There is a building off to the side that has, it is heated, and there is a portion of that's cold storage. Usually most of these places are either ultra cold storage, I mean there's nothing, or it's climatized, where they only heat it to a certain amount and cool it to a certain amount. So typically that's what I see. So usually when they say cold storage, it's not cold storage, but pictures are what they're showing here. So typical garage shop heaters, as you can see up in the ceilings. Again, their branding, Victory Motorsports, motorcycles, I should say, Bronze Marine. You service everything you sell. Obviously, this is the service end of it. On page 36 37 gives the outline of the building that I was speaking to. Some of this was cold storage and heated now. There's some debate on that in the past, but I mean, we had an inspector go, we confirmed everything. So, and then the lot itself, again, on Do Gold, what you sell, you usually store in your lot. You charge, they service it, they store it for the winter, pull it back out in the summer. Some docks in the back as you go along. Page 49 to 50, you see a bit more of the building. Again, industrial flavored, if you want to call it that. It is definitely just an industrial building. And they happen to be servicing what they're selling, or service what they're selling. So If you're in a machine shop where I kind of grew up since 5 years old, you're pretty comfortable back there and something like that. If you're not, maybe keep your hands in your pocket, fingers. As we go through it, it's your standard stuff. And obviously, it's not just new stuff they sell or service. There's an older boat back there. Pretty much any customer that comes in, you'll be servicing. And then the tarping, as you can see on page 61, what they tarp their boats for the winter and their power sports. Quite a few photos. They went through the whole property. On page 67, it shows the more storage end of it. You got to keep your inventory in place. And it's nothing pretty back there. This is what your shops look like. Cold storage buildings on the outside. That's cold storage, obviously, on page 72. And then you're more inventory based as you go along. And then you lead back out to the front of the front of the building for your staff area on page 77, and then your showroom back on page 78. And that's already been covered pretty good is in my pictures that I've provided, but these are just again showing that nothing's really changed. And this is what they do here. So you can continue through if you like. Excuse me. There's a bit more office area on page 102, 101, 4, and then your lunchroom area in the mezz. And then a few more photos showing the shop areas. So clearly they went through the whole place. And that's just for your file, for the file if you want to look at and pull. There's quite a few pictures here today. So on page 120 is the actual I&E. They don't check as owner occupied, but they are owner occupied. We know that. And the comparables are the same as we've already spoken to on page 122 and moving forward. We don't need to get into any further than that. So as we've already shown, it's again, it's not a marina. I can't drive there in my boat. There's no dock to dock it. Don't know what discrepancy between the agent and the assessor was at the municipal board. It's clearly a power sports building, and they serve more, I would say, on the summer side than the winter side. They obviously sell boats and their line of products there, but they do a lot of stuff that has tires. That's not a marina. So on page 3 is the workup, as was indicated. We have for the main building 70,416 square feet. Again, we just have the I'm not going to get into the same periphery argument, industrial argument. We have the retail side of things for comparables, but we did discount. This building is being discounted as they all are for industrial flavor at $12.70. And then you look at the storage building, which is on the other side at 6,000 square feet. We have an the service and storage area at $8.89, and then the further area at 2,700 square feet at $4.70. So with that, your potential gross income is $287,785. Your leasable area is 26,161. 26,161 square feet. And applied to that, obviously, was the PGI above, and the vacancy is 2%. Same standard parameters, expenses at 3% non-reportable, shortfall at $6. Produces a net operating income of $270,429 and capped at 6.7%. Gives you your value of $4,036,000. I apologize for a bit long-windedness, but we kind of had to go through this in full. So with that, I'm open to questions.
Marcello.
I think everything, again, you mentioned that this is model driven. The model has, according to you, adjusted for that industrial flavor. So I think we've already covered this. I don't know, can you confirm who the assessor was that inspected the property? Was it Arca or Svetlana, one of the two? I don't, I remember walking through these buildings with an assessor, but I don't remember whether it was Arca or Svetlana.
It might have been Brittany too. I'm not sure. One of
No,
the three.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you for sure. Svetlana had it for the municipal board. So I would think she would have taken her own pictures. So those are most likely
Okay.
hers. So
okay. Thank you. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Diane, any questions?
Yeah, sorry, you just said that Svetlana had it at the municipal board. Is that still outstanding or that's been resolved?
no, that was for a preliminary, maybe a bit more detail. It was for the preliminary. It was part of the auto dealership hearing group.
Okay,
But then
okay,
decided it was a marina, and then had preliminary hearing, and it was excluded from it. And
Okay.
from that order, when you glean it, it shouldn't have been, in my opinion. It's clearly not a marina. They sell a
No.
lot more than just boats and
Yeah,
yada yada.
okay.
So,
thank you.
Thank you.
I've got a lot of background.
oh, Summation?
No.
Nothing? Marcello, summation?
I still have to present.
I did it to you again. Okay, want to present?
Okay.
Keeping track of this.
Yeah, I'll make things a little bit quicker. So you can look at the rents that we used on page 12. And again, this is the same rents that we used for the, I think we just lost Jeremy. Right?
Yeah.
Did we lose Jeremy?
He turned his camera off or he lost his camera.
His camera's off, but it's showing he's still here.
I'm here. Hold on.
Okay. So again, we're using the same rents from the previous example on La Jamodier. So this is the same general vicinity. Again, it's that southeast section of Dugald and La Jamodier, everything that is southeast of that. And we are including the industrial areas, of course, in that section. That's where the influence, I believe, is from, and any rents would kind of reflect that industrial area. However, we still have acknowledged that this is a dealership of some type. We can call it sports, power sports, whatever we want to. So we have acknowledged the vacancy, the shortfall. We've given it a cap rate of 6.75. The rent is $9.22. That is a blended rent. And again, there are effectively two structures here. There is another warehouse next to this, I believe 6,000 square feet, which we've valued at $11.50 per square foot. In total, the blended rate is $9.22 per square foot. And again, what we're saying is that is more reflective of the industrial area that this property is situated in. So based on that, the indicated market value is $3,208,715 or $3,209,000. And beyond that is the income and expense questionnaire and some pictures that we took on the inspection. I believe we would have inspected this with the assessor at that time, as I recall having an assessor beside me at that time. So I'm open for questions. Thank you.
Jeremy?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Diane?
No questions at this time, thanks.
Robert?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. That will, anything in summation? Marcello?
Nope, I do not.
Jeremy?
I do not as well.
Thank you. We'll go on to the next property, number 9 at 1330 Dugald. Is it 1330? Yeah,
Yeah, just bear with me.
bear with me as well.
Okay. File number is 22-929. Roll number is 0605019560, 1330 Duggold. 2023 assessment is for $3,979,000. Built in 1995, a bit of an update in 2005, and this effective year is 1997. Leasable area is 21,574 square feet. Page 7 starts the pictures. The property, it's Transcona Trailers. I've been in this property many times as well. I got a trailer. I didn't get it from them, but I go here for my some of my things that I need for my trailer. So page 9 is just a showroom. They have pretty basic showroom. It's parts on one side, service towards the back, and then if you walk in to your right, they have a collection of their trailers. So fun little place to go if you're a little kid. You get to run up and down, annoy the sale people. But they have quite a few in there. Usually there's about 8 or 9-ish. So that's pretty much all they do here. If you look at page 16, gives a showing of from the mezz area. This is the, if you're looking to the left and down, you see this this service parts counter. If you're looking to the door towards the middle of middle left of the green wall there, you walk through there to the other section, which is where most of the campers are, travel trailers are, and that's the room I just showed you. So page 19 and 20 is the counter that I was speaking to. Page 21 shows the service bays. So if you're getting anything serviced, they pull your trailer in. And as you can see, on page 26, they also sell a limited amount of artifacts and snowmobile. I don't think there was any in the, maybe there was some in the pictures there. Yeah, there is. If you look close, there's a few that are over there, but they're very limited as far as what they sell for product line. They're not like the other two that you saw where they were selling quite a few product lines. So they are an AutoCAT, just so we're clear, they got bought out. They ended their product line. I think they changed over to I want to say Chevron, or I can't remember what they call it now, but they still sell some, but not as much. As predominantly travel trailer camper service parts and sales. So that's what you see from up to page 28. And then on page 29 is where we sent the income sense questionnaire. We didn't get a response back, but compliance is not on the table today, so we'll leave it at that. And then from page 31 and onward is the same comparables that we've used and same package that we've used all throughout today. So we don't need to get into that anymore. Getting back up to the workup, which is on page 3. For 21,576 square feet, we have $12.93. Again, down from what we have our standard 15 or so range, 14, 16 range. So the model did discount this as well. So it is appropriate. Produces a potential gross income of $278,952. Our standard vacancy at 2%. Non-recoverable expenses at 3%, and shortfall at $6 gives us a net operating income of $262,583. Capped at 6.6% gives $3,979,000. So with that, I'm open to questions.
Marcello, questions?
I think we're pretty much dealing with a very similar property as the last one, so I don't think we have any. I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Robert?
No questions, thank you.
Diane?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Can we go to you, Marcello, for your presentation, please?
Yep. So we can just turn to page 11. And again, I've used the same rent comparables. We're coming from that southeast section of Dugald Ladramodier. And if you look at page 7, we have a pretty good bird's eye view of this structure. But again, we'll flip to page 13. And we've gone with a rent of $9.46, and that is blended. 2% vacancy allowance, $6 shortfall, 5% management, 2% other. Net operating income of $183,379, and a capitalization rate of 6.75 for an income value of $2,716,721 or $2,717,000. And I'm open for questions.
Jeremy, questions?
I just have a couple. Can you turn to page 6? And I'm just getting a feel for the actual income streams that we have in place here. Part of this is discovery, and I just want to confirm. For the last 2 properties, sell service boats and power sports, this case here, it's trailers. There's roll numbers below that aren't under appeal here today, but are associated with the dealerships that you see. They service and store their what they sell there. So when we're seeing on site all those inventory, that's a lot of it isn't just new inventory. A lot of it is being stored there, correct?
There may be some storage there, correct?
No, I mean, I want to be clear on this because this will be something I'll be addressing moving forward. They charge, once you service them for winter storage, they charge each individual travel trailer, correct?
I'm not sure about that detail. No.
Okay, so you're not sure what the rates would be associated with that, and as you can see towards the back, there is quite a lot of storage on those sites. There would be quite a bit of income coming in.
You're speaking about the associated sites south of them?
Yeah, because they would be all common ownership. Obviously, you can see the site, it just rolls through the other one. I'm trying to ascertain how much income is being derived as a storage facility for the travel trailers.
Well, I don't know how relevant that is, given that they're not under appeal, are they?
I'm asking questions under appeal to determine what actual income flows through the subject property. So given the fact that in order to get to that, you go through the subject property, I'm just asking whether they're charging for rent. No different than.
I'm not aware of that, but again, I did not put that into my conclusion, as that is a separate property altogether.
But they're not run separately is what I'm getting at. They're run in tandem. You can see that on the aerial photograph. So if you don't know what the storage rates are, that's fine. I would just try to ascertain that, yes, there is storage there, and if so, how much?
I wouldn't have checked that, Mr. Pohl, because again, it's not relevant to the property that I'm looking at. However, if you decide at a future date to consolidate these parcels, again, you are the assessor, you are in charge of that.
It's the only questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert.
Yes, thank you. Quickly, following up on that questioning, Marcelo, where, in your opinion, should the income from that storage be assigned to?
Well, it should be assigned to that property.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, just so we're clear, not the one that we have under appeal today.
Pardon me?
Diane, not the property that we have under appeal today, he said.
Right. Okay. But where the assessor asked where the income derived from that separate roll number, where that, and I'm asking if that income is coming from the subject property, but on a different roll number, where, in your opinion, do you think that income should be applied? And you said on the other roll number. Fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Diane,
so
any
just-
questions?
Yeah, I just need to clarify that again. The roll number that we're not discussing has rental income on it. And there would be separate income statement for that property where that rental income would be, correct?
If you're asking me, I don't know what the city has done with that and whether they've sent out an income notice to that property for that property. However,
I'm
we
asking you about your client. Your
Yeah.
client does not include the rental from that back piece into
No.
the income and expense of this portion.
no.
Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
So Marcello,
Yeah,
your client's piece that we're dealing with today is the first corner square, correct?
that's correct.
The back lot that the others are referring to at this time, is that the back where you see all the trailers are parked, basically all across the whole thing?
Yeah,
Okay, now I got it. Thank you. Anything in summation, Marcello?
no, I do not.
Anything in summation, Jeremy?
No, and I just wanted to kind of hit the nail, or it's not hit the nail on the head, but I'm just asking questions to the agent. Because as you see for these two buildings, both properties, they run in tandem with the lot behind it. There's income being derived and it's flowing through those two properties to the back. There is not even an access to get to the back. So when I'm asking if there's income being derived, it should be ascertained to both the top two properties. As I hope the panel was kind of making the same determination or pathway to going back to it. But we need to determine if there is and how much there is. And clearly it's quite a bit of development back there. So when you're looking at the two top properties, that should be reflective of the value that you put towards them. You see that you could support that income and it's sitting on the opposite lot. So that risk associated for the cap rates for both those two lots should be reflected in the top property. So
Are we dealing with that property today?
No.
no, not on the
Are we
back.
dealing? Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you. That will conclude the matters. And we have nothing further. Intro. So we have heard all the items scheduled and this hearing is now adjourned by 4:30.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thank you.
night.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Feel better, Jeremy.
Bye-bye.
I'm hoping. I'm okay. I just can't lose the cough.